Getting ready for the Great Ohio Toy Show in Xenia, Ohio this week. Some major names in West Virginia wrestling history are on their way back to the Mountain State. And I'm going to tell you what I found surprising about Mr. McMahon. Welcome back to the channel. Adam Harris, ring announcer, wrestling fan, and collector here in the Mountain State. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks to everybody that's watched along so far. Appreciate you coming here to the toy room for another dispatch. This Saturday, ASW's Halloween Mayhem, the biggest Halloween party in professional wrestling, is this Saturday at the Madison Civic Center. I've been talking about it for a couple videos. The event is here. The Headbangers are coming to West Virginia to ASW, and Glamorous Gary is going to bring DD Trash to the ring to take on the Headbangers. Also, the Boone County title is on the line. Huge triple threat. Noah Ray, who has been absolutely dominant as champion, hasn't been pinned well over a year. He's going to defend in a triple threat against the Killbilly Deluxe, Evil Nate, who's always got something up his sleeve or under his mask. And their third opponent is Bishop Baylor, the Regatta Pro Wrestling Champion. Bishop Baylor, you know he'll do anything he can to win. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Boone County triple threat match goes down. Nurse Micah is stepping in the ring against a formidable competitor. The Australian wrestler Lena Cross is in the country for a little while, and she's coming to ASW, and this might be Micah's toughest challenge yet here at ASW. Looking forward to that. But the big announcement, former ASW champion, former member of the Nexus, and a former member of 3MB, oh baby, Heath is coming back. The native of Pineville, West Virginia, is going to be at ASW this Saturday for Halloween Mayhem. Huge costume contest. I can't wait for that. And I still don't even know what I'm going to wear. I've been wearing the same jacket at ASW Halloween Mayhem for about 9 years now. And so I think it's time to up the costume. We'll see. I guess I'll post some photos here on the channel. Already looking ahead, though, to the next ASW event, which is Saturday, November the 16th in Madison, West Virginia. Hadn't mentioned this yet, but Danhausen is returning to ASW. This is a guy I got to meet, and I drove him the last time he joined us at ASW, but I believe that was in Harts, West Virginia. And so this will be Danhausen's first appearance in Madison for ASW, and that's at November the 16th, when, of course, we're presenting ASW's War Games. 5-on-5, 2 rings, 2 cages at ASW War Games. But this is huge. Just announced this week from ASW promoter Gary Damron, the one and only Jamie Noble is going to be making an appearance, meeting and greeting for ASW for the first time ever. Been looking forward to this forever. I've been saving Jamie Noble cards ever since I started collecting, since he's from West Virginia. He's one of the ones who's repped us on the big stage, and I'm so excited to get to meet him, finally say hello, hopefully get an autograph, and that's all coming up in November, so we're going to be talking a lot about that here on the channel. So make sure you're following ASW on their YouTube and also on Facebook for all the latest announcements. Another cool indie star that's headed to the area for Pro Wrestling Conquest, and I know a lot of people have been excited about this. I've never seen his work in person. I'm only mildly familiar with his work, but Cruel is coming to Charleston in November for Pro Wrestling Conquest. Another big match for Bishop Baylor that week. It's personal. It's a blood feud between him and Josh Williams. The working class exploded at Slam Plaza, and the follow-up is happening at Pro Wrestling Conquest at their next event in November. Thanks again for watching. I am going to get to a PWI 500 video. I have the list. There are 25 individuals who made the PWI rankings that I have ring announced, and we're going to go through them in one of my next videos. So I've been doing the research, doing the work, and we're going to talk about my experiences and with the people who have been ranked in this year's PWI 500. So stay tuned to that. Thanks for liking, subscribing, doing whatever you do here on YouTube. Appreciate you spending a few minutes with me. If it's not about the Vince doc, then what are we even talking about? So I feel obligated to at least say a couple things about this documentary, Mr. McMahon, on Netflix. Took me a little while to get around to watching it all. And there were a few things I was surprised by. One was I didn't know that Vince was that estranged from his father. I didn't meet him until he was 12 years old. And I admit I left this thing with a lot more sympathy for Vince McMahon than I ever would have expected to. But that doesn't excuse anything that he's accused of. I think the thing I got most away from that was just that need for his father's approval. And I hope he got that, even if it was on his deathbed, like it's kind of portrayed in the doc. I'm glad for that. Like it or not, that's the reason we have pro wrestling. Vince and his dad are part of the reason that wrestling became so successful, and definitely the reason that we're still talking about it today. I was very surprised to see the Wendy Richter screw job in there with the Black Widow, I think it was, as the fabulous Moolah. Man, that deserves the dark side of the ring, I think. Moolah had her own dark side of the ring, but I don't even remember if that was brought up in that document. So surprised at my favorite cat dad on the internet, Stone Cold Steve Austin, a CTE denier. Oh, that one's hard to swallow. But they framed that very nicely with Christopher Nowinski saying he had indeed seen the brain scans and he knows that CTE is real. No surprise, Bruce Pritchard, number one lackey, carrying the water for Vince McMahon. We should all have a friend as loyal as Bruce, but it is true that Vince helped Bruce and his family out in a big way, and I'm sure there's more stories like that than what we get to know. But again, it doesn't forgive all of the things that have happened behind the scenes and in the personal life of Vince McMahon. And as we've seen, those lines have been completely blurred between reality and fiction for Vince himself. He didn't even remember the lawsuit with Sable. So I think that shows a little bit about the disconnect and how deep that runs with him. And it's only going to be a broader disconnect between Vince in real life and what happened in the ring and on television. And I had to ask myself, why would Netflix put this on right before Raw comes to Netflix? Like, if they're trying to build ratings, trying to conjure an audience that's going to come over to Netflix, why would you put this kind of exploitive thing out about Vince and about wrestling? And in talking with some of my friends, I mean, I think it's just simply to set the record straight. To say, yep, these things happened. Yep, we can't deny Vince's history with the show, but we're going to tell you more about it now. And, there was Cody Rhodes throughout this thing, but there was not a lot of Roman Reigns, not a ton of modern stars. And so I really think that Netflix was trying to set a clean slate here, a little bit of a reset for wrestling, acknowledging what it has been up until now, and also acknowledging that I think what we all know is true, that this is a new era. This is a turning point for professional wrestling. Monday Night Raw has been on USA almost the entire time. I remember watching the first episode back in the day, and I will definitely be tuning in when Raw comes to Netflix coming up soon. And we'll talk about it right here on the channel. Next video is going to be on the PWI 500 and the people that I've ring announced. Thanks to those promotions that welcome me to their shows. In my history, in the 9 years I've been ring announcing, I've ring announced 25 people that made this year's PWI 500. We'll talk about who's ranked the highest, who's ranked the lowest, who I announced most recently, and who I haven't announced in the longest time. So appreciate you watching. Thanks for sticking around. Headed to the Great Ohio Toy Show this weekend, so I'm sure there's going to be tons of cool footage and a lot less money in the wallet come the next video. Thanks for watching. See you at the matches, and see you next time.